Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Trends with LJE, where we bring you the latest and developing stories across Nigeria and Africa. I am John Nkamian. Now, do well to be part of our growing online community by hitting that follow button, like and share button as well. And don't forget, it's on all platforms at LJE Nigeria. Joining me to dissect today's trending stories are Barrister Samuel Meme and Chidi Iloa-Maike. I hope I got that right.
No, Iloa-Maike.
Okay, so gentlemen, it's great to have you join us on this episode of Trends with LJE. Right, let's quickly run through our headlines for this edition of Trends. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan protest passport seizure at Abuja airport. Defense chief says no Christian persecution in Nigeria. Wike reacts to U.S. president's threat of military action in Nigeria. China warns against interference in Nigeria's affairs after U.S. threat of military action. And Regina Daniels accuses estranged husband Ned Nwoko of orchestrating arrest of her siblings in attempt to force her into rehab for alleged drug use. Of course, all of this will form our discussion as we get to our first story, where Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio of ordering passport seizure at the Abuja airport. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, representing Kogi Central, has accused the Senate President of orchestrating the seizure of her international passport by immigration officials at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The incident occurred on Tuesday morning when Akpoti-Uduaghan was reportedly stopped by officers of the Immigration Service who, according to her, claimed they were acting on orders from above. The 45-year-old lawmaker went live on social media during the confrontation, demanding the immediate return of her travel document. In the video, she stated that there was no legal basis for the action, especially following President Bola Tinubu's reported withdrawal of all politically motivated cases against her. Let's watch the video.
No right? Any offense? Why are you withholding my passport?
Hello, fellow Nigerians. Good morning. This is Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Having completed my celebration of my second year in office, I decided to take a week off. So I'm at the airport here, and my passport is being withheld again. The same thing happened last time where my passport was seized. I have committed no offense, and there is no order from the court to withhold my passport and deny me traveling. The last time this happened, the officer in charge told us that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, instructed them to withhold my passport and prevent me from traveling because he said each time I travel out of the country, I smear the country's image by granting interviews out in international media. Please, can you tell them to release my passport and this embarrassment should stop? You have no right to withhold my passport. You have no right to deny me exit and entrance into my country. I have not committed any offense, and this must stop.
Sorry.
No, this must stop. As a matter of fact, I think I have to sue you for continuously embarrassing me.
Sorry.
No, don't tell me sorry. Can I please have my passport? You can't keep doing this to me all the time.
All right, Chidi, let me start
I'll
with
be
you.
standing here.
One would have anticipated that after her return to the Red Hollow Chambers, and there seemed to be some calm, that would have been the last we would hear of any controversy, so to say, surrounding Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But this latest video, I mean, it's fresh off today. How do you react to it?
Well, it's a show of the kind of governance that the Tinubu administration practice. For me, it's a show of even in military regime, you don't have things like this happen. without the head of state issuing a statement. This is an elected official. This is the senator representing Nigerians. She was also elected as well as the president. She's not a criminal. At this instance, perhaps the Tinubu administration do not value Nigerians that you serve. If you ask me why, I will tell you because at this instance, they should come to the media and address this issue because this is very dehumanizing. This is also a violation of our constitutional right to movement. And what message does this send to the international community and international media? We're trying to pretend that there is no killings. There are no killings in Nigeria. We're trying to package ourselves, our rotten self, into the international media and the public image that we do not even have. And what is this saying? The priority should be at things like this. Tomorrow, when you hear US say things, or France say things, or Britain says things, or there are denial of visas for these corrupt individuals, the first thing that comes to mind is, look, we are peace-loving people. You hear it from the media. You hear it from the presidency. Asorok has not tweeted, and this is very dangerous. This is a president that tells you, the US have all the information that tell you that Nigerians' life do not matter. If a senator who is in office cannot be protected, if a senator is disgraced publicly, a lady, a woman for that matter, United Nations needs to say things about this. This is a shame, and this will go down the history of Nigeria that the APC-led government and the Tinubu-led government has, they keep on doing what? They keep on infringing on the rights of Nigerians, particularly an elected senator who has no public issue that should warrant legally withdrawal of passport or a seizure of passport.
Shili, thank you for using that word legally, because this is where I drag in Barrister Samuel Meme. She said the officials mentioned the third citizen of the Federation in the person of the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. Does the Senate President have the power to instruct the Immigration Service to withhold the passport, travel document of a serving senator of the Federal Republic?
Well, legally, the international passports issued to a citizen is still the property of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
And the international passport is issued by the immigration. The Immigration Service have the right to withhold the passport if they wish, or if there is substantial reason to withhold the passport. It is not the police, in this case, seizing the passport. It is not the military seizing the passport. It is the immigration. But because of the confusion and what we perceive to be intimidation against the person of Senator Natasha, definitely one can be able to trace this kind of issue to those people she would definitely have issues to sort out with. It's quite unfortunate that at this age of our democracy, we're still experiencing this kind of issue. I'm just saying this for the first time, but one will definitely need to investigate further to know what possible is the reason behind the seizure of our international passports.
But can she sue the Immigration Service?
Yes, she can sue the Immigration Service. That is if she has not been, if the passport has not been, because the last time we saw probably through the social media was when the passport was seized.
Yeah, her passport has been returned to her.
Afterward.
Yes.
So I don't think there is, like I mentioned to you, if you read your international passport, you understand that this passport is a property of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If the immigration officers choose to withhold the passport for any investigation they choose to carry out, it is within the right and the power of the immigration.
All right, moving to our next story, where the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oloyede, has dismissed allegations of Christian persecution in Nigeria, stating that the country's primary security challenges remain terrorism. Speaking with journalists on Monday in Abuja, Oluyede refuted recent claims by U.S. President Donald Trump, who alleged that Islamic terrorists were targeting Christians in Nigeria. Let's watch Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, as he dismisses allegations of Christian persecution in Nigeria.
Christian is being persecuted in Nigeria. Well, we are facing insecurity, especially terrorism. And it's something that's been affecting Nigeria for quite some time now. But as a group, talking about security heads, we've been doing our very best to checkmate this act of terrorism within the space of Nigeria. And you will recall recently, that's just last week, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, recalibrated the security architecture by bringing on board officers of proven integrity who are seasoned in asymmetric warfare to add impetus to our operations. I want to assure Nigerians going forward that we're going to add more to what we're doing, add more impetus to our operations, and ensure that we checkmate this act of terrorism within Nigeria. And you know very well that terrorism is a global issue, it's a global problem. There are several countries that are challenged in that respect. And it calls for collective effort. So if we have countries out there who are ready to support Nigeria, we are ready to have them on board to help us checkmate the act of terrorism within the space of Nigeria. So we welcome everybody to support it. That's my message. Thank you.
Now, Barrister Memen, let me start with you. The new CDS seems to, in his wisdom, try to quell the matter at hand, because this seems to be the most talked about issue as we speak across Nigeria in every nooks and cranny. Is this the best approach, to simply dismiss the allegation of Christian genocide or Christian persecution in Nigeria?
Well, I would actually start by saying that in my personal opinion, I do not hold the view that there appears to be what can be referred to as Christian genocide. I am a Christian, and I have my reasons. Here in this organization, we conducted a research about this issue of clashes in the neighborhood, clashes in communities, vis-a-vis as it relates to Fulani harassment, because you cannot talk about the killings by the Fulanis without attaching the Fulani harassment.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the genesis of all of this issue, you will find out that this issue still has to do with the Fulanis, our brothers who are Fulanis, who take their cattle from one place to another. In the course of taking their cattle, they move through communities. And in the course of moving through the communities, they destroy farmlands, they destroy livelihoods. And these communities, the owners of these communities, the cities, the indigenous of these communities, in most cases, confront them. And you now have what you call the reprisal attack. And we all come from different communities in this country. And we know how volatile some of these communities can be. There are some of these communities that have less than 20,000, habitants within those areas. And of course, these guys will take advantage of the lack of security and all of those things within such communities. And, there is this thoughts about going through the minds of those who have criminal intention to carry out an intent. So when you look at it, you understand that what we face has to do with the movement of cattle in Nigeria. And I will say this again and again and again. What you see, what you experience from this video you play right now, the pastor who
Yes, I was going to mention that.
Who buried 501 members. It could be
in Plateau State.
In Plateau State.
Yes.
So it is about people thinking or having this feeling that they have rights of movement. Even when they are moving, they can destroy people's livelihood and destroy people's crops. Most time, the clashes will raise to the essence to what you now refer to as Christian genocide. I'm not trying to say that it is more important when it is referred to be Christian genocide. There are killings going all over this country, whether they are Christians being killed or Muslims being killed.
So majorly, lives are being lost.
Majorly, lives have been lost. I sympathize with the security agencies. I sympathize with the military, because these guys are just coming to inherit what they never saw in the first place. The problem we are having in this country is bad governance, inability to administer good leadership, inability to create the best approach, a systematic approach to take Nigerians out of poverty, inability to construct good roads, inability to develop the communities, inability to make good policies, inability to realize that at this age of 21st century, we still have people, a government that do not have the courage to make laws, to make policies to restrict the movement of cattle in Nigeria. As long as you have cattle moving from one place to another in this country, they will continue to be killing in this country. And these killings keep increasing, no matter the techniques, and this is to the military. If you want to solve this problem, if you think and you believe, as we believe, and I want to commend Nigerians who were able to pursue this matter to a logical conclusion, drawing the attention of the United States of America. Because that's what we need at this time for them to sit up. We must commend them. We must continue to call on foreign country to come to the aid of Nigeria. If we can speak to our government and what you hear is arrest, persecution, and the rest of them, then probably we need more of Donald Trump to come and save us in this country. Now they are trying to defend themselves. Now they are trying to walk around things, but they must get to the roots of this cause so that at the end of the day, our communities can be safe. If the communities are not safe, the cities can never be safe because you're going to have people living. If people who are killing those in the communities, and at the end of the day, you are killing those in the communities and you are driving them out of their communities, thereby now it therefore means that you are now going, the cattle will now take over the communities. Then who is going to pay the house rent for those guys who are supposed to be in the community? Who is going to pay the house rent in the city? These are practical scenarios that we can see in this country. And it is better the government set up. This has not to do, this is not the matter for the security agencies alone to tackle. This is more on the part of governance, the state governors, the local government, and the federal government. And all ties of government and all arms of government must live up to expectation for us to have peace in this country.
Chidi, now the CDS is saying there's no Christian genocide. Let's even assume that there's no Christian genocide. As of yesterday, Niger, our next door neighbor, and Chad have sealed their borders. One simple reason: they do not want the terrorists, bandits, name them whichever way, to come into their own countries. Meaning that these countries know that these people exist. So let's assume that the Americans made a grammatical error by saying Christian genocide, though they emphasize that they are coming to fight terrorism. Why the denial game by the CDS?
Very good question, if you ask me. First of all, I don't want Nigerians, and of course those in the street, do not want that perception that there is no Christian genocide. They also do not want that perception that there is no Muslim genocide. Very, very clear. Until we understand what genocide is, until we conceptualize genocide, we cannot make progress. It's like saying, what does it mean to be a respected Nigerian? It means you have to steal money. Perhaps it means you have to find your way, steal elections, forge results, and you'll be called Your Excellency.
Distinguished,
honorable. Are these requirements to be? So first of all, I want us to conceptualize. When I mean conceptualizing, I want us to understand the definition of genocide first. Because when we understand what this definition, we'll be able to know if these things are happening or not. First of all, I'll quote the United Nations, I'm reading the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, Article 2 of the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Convention. That is Article 2 of it. What does it say? He said, for genocide to happen, these things must be in place. The killing of members of a group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of a group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to to prevent birth within that group, and possibly transferring children of the group to another group. And possibly transferring children happened recently in Delta State. And these are what according to United Nations make up genocide. And the question is, sometimes that is why when you come for exams, they ask who are those that, in Nigeria we don't reward scholarship. You need to be a tout to be relevant.
We don't reward success.
We don't reward. Our value system is flawed.
Yeah.
And so no wonder some people will say there's no genocide. Positions of Nigerians and some Nigerians have this that there's genocide. For me, if you ask me, I'll say there's Christian genocide by this implication of these definitions. And there's also Muslim genocide. And I'll tell you how.
And there is a general genocide.
All of these genocide. When we mean Christian Muslim genocide, I'm talking about the major groups being discussed. Of course, Nigeria is a multi-ethnic group. I mean country, multi-religious. We have ATR, African
secular state.
We have a secular state. So even those who are on the traditional worshipper side, there's genocide against them. The issue is there genocide? By this, there's genocide. Why do I say there's genocide against Christians, Muslims, and other religions? Other religions. The reason is because Boko Haram started. Not just Boko Haram. There's this WAP. There's even Takalawaras, and even new ones that their names are well known to the military than both of us. You know what I mean? Now let me tell you. Islamic, not Islamic, but then let me put it this way: Boko Haram started in the north under Jonathan. Bring back the girls, Chibok and co.
Yeah.
Who were they killing more? Those in the north. Borno is not majorly a Muslim state. Don't get it twisted. But of course, we have Muslims too who are in this. So Muslims more suffered at the initial stage, if you want me to put it that way, because it comes from the north, and eventually moved where? He moved to Enugu State. He moved to even the Owo killings, in the church.
Yeah.
What do you interpret that to be? The Christian side feeling the heat. So there's genocide going on. And with all of these elements of crime, according to United Nations, you find out that there is genocide going on in the country. The question should be, what should we have done, or should we do at this time? What we should have done is, there were cries in the past by pastors. Go online, you see movies. So you see videos of years. APC, and I'll tell you, let me read this one. APC came forward. When I mean APC, it's very, very important. APC came forward and said, look, vote us in.
We'll stop this.
We'll stop this in 2 weeks, in 1 week, in 1 day, in less than, We did that. We voted APC because we wanted a general in the person of Muhammadu Buhari to end this whole insecurity. And let me read the tweet of Tinubu when he was in the opposition. He said, Tinubu's tweet of January 14, 29 January 2014, he says, the slaughtering of Christian worshippers is strongly condemnable. It calls to question the competence of Jonathan to protect Nigerians. If I'm going to revert it, I'll read it this way. I say, the slaughtering of Christian worshippers is strongly condemnable. It calls to question the competence of Tinubu to protect Nigerians. If you go further, you see another tweet he made on September 2014. He said, the first three, I'm talking about the person of
Bola Ahmed
Tinubu, the Nigerian president, the current president of Nigeria. He said, the first three Boko Haram attacks on the northeast and massacre of innocent citizens is concrete proof that Nigeria has no government.
So invariably, as we speak, we have no government.
Do you think we have government? From the man himself. The question, like I mentioned, is not about Christian genocide, Muslim genocide. Like I said, it's all the way around. We shouldn't talk about blame game. We shouldn't talk about what Donald Trump calls it. It is inconsequential.
At this point.
It means that we don't have value for human beings. There have been cases of kidnappers. You cannot travel as we speak in many parts of this country without your eyes closed. with your eyes closed. You have to, you have to hire everybody, security. And then the question is, what should we do? What we should do is simple. We should start addressing them. We should have done that before. We should have addressed this thing before. It took Buhari 8 years. And he couldn't. Every day you hear things like, "Oh, we are systematically addressed." We have they use words like we have defeated. Technically, there were words and rhetorics. Human lives. You see people, and why do they say Christian genocide? Because when these killings happen in the north, against, maybe it happens in like the recent one in Edo State. I think it was about 16 persons. The Edo State governor had to even travel to the north to appease the north. And there were reparations and, money were paid to, which is beautiful. But when it happens in the east or in the south of the country, with more casualties and more than horror films, I tell people, look, when I watch horror films, I don't feel much, I don't feel intrigued. I don't feel, because I see them more in Nigerian setting. Many people say that too. So what should happen? And then you see, when it happens to the Christians, what would the Christian faith or within the South? Because the South, let us not forget, is Christian populated domain, even though we have Muslims living every part of the country. But with the population distribution, you know what's going on? With the Benue killings, you know what's going on? The worshippers. So you understand? At that instance, what should happen? When it happens, the president keeps mute. He doesn't tweet about it. He doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't even go there to visit. The last one that happened, it took some persons to pressure him to go to Benue State. And when he got there, he couldn't fly in to the country that he governs. The presidency couldn't even step foot in that land. As if to say, and then you talk about Nigerian sovereignty. Are we sovereign? We are not sovereign. If we are sovereign, we shouldn't get loans abroad. If we're sovereign, then we should sit down and fix our country. If we're sovereign, the Senate president, all of the political elites, including the president, should not seek medical attention abroad. That's a sovereign nation.
Okay.
If we're sovereign, we shouldn't seek US aid. If we are truly sovereign, we should deal with our insecurity problems ourselves. I'll tell you why. Because Nigeria recently, the Nigerian army had an award. That was like a few days ago. You know what? As the best land force on earth, on the African soil. And Nigerian military is one of the best. You will be here in the studio or somewhere and tweet against this government and against Nigerian government. It has been happening, not just Tinubu's government, previous government and things. They will pick you. But today, you will be a bandit and you'll be doing the giveaway. And they will share locations of people who have been kidnapped and you can't rescue. You need a Nigerian, a simple citizen, ordinary citizen, without serious without serious resources and mechanism to go rescue somebody held in the bush of Edo State or what have you. The recent one that happened, you recall the lady that was held in captivity. And she was crying and nobody felt her pain. If you cannot feel the pain of this lady, who are you to say that there's no genocide? There's genocide against Christians, there's genocide against Muslims, there's genocide against everybody. Until that is addressed and things need to happen now. Let me tell you, Trump is only doing us good. I'll tell you why. Imagine somebody sitting down in the US. I'm not saying, look, Trump, I appreciate the fact that you put Nigeria under. Nigeria, I feel the pains. But I'll tell you what, human life is worth more than anything. Jonathan has said it, my human life is not worth my ambition. One human life, you cannot replace it on the planet Earth. History will hold us, will judge us. And like I said, and I said it before in this studio, that there is reward coming for anybody who take any human life. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you take the life of a Christian, whether you take the life of a Muslim, it does not matter. What matters is the human life. And that's what we should talk about. Not Christian genocide, not Muslim genocide. We should do the right thing, and the right thing should be done now, quickly. Like, I'll end it with the words of Abacha. He said, if there's any terrorism or insecurity or what have you.
In any country, beyond 24 hours, there's the hand of the government.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
All right. And just to remind you that the U.S. government said they've been following this development since 2009. So that's to give you some background history. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll discuss FCT Minister Nyesom Wike's reaction to U.S. President's threat of military action in Nigeria. China's warning against interference in Nigeria's affairs after, of course, the U.S. threat of military action, and the unfolding drama of Nollywood actress Regina Daniels' marriage as she accuses her estranged husband Ned Nwoko of orchestrating the arrest of her siblings in an attempt to force her into rehab for alleged drug use. Stay with us and, of course, keep sharing the stream.
Camera rolling. Light set. Sound check. And action.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's program, a program where we get to talk about the daily affairs and legal issues with intent to educate.
This is the perfect space to create professional quality videos, recording news, podcasts, and all media content. With top-of-the-line cameras, studio lighting, soundproof spaces, we provide everything you need for a seamless shoot. Our fully equipped studio ensures high-quality production every time. Enjoy a comfortable, air-conditioned environment with professional-grade gear and expert support. Contact us now or visit our Abuja location to reserve your spot.
Thanks for staying tuned. It's still Trends with LJE, quite an intense episode. But we move ahead with this story where Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike says he's open to supporting U.S. President Donald Trump or any other foreign partner willing to help Nigeria combat terrorism. Now, speaking during an interview on a political show on television on Monday night, Wike said he welcomes any form of international cooperation that enhances Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts, noting that such allies are common practice amongst nations. He stressed that terrorism is a global challenge that demands collaboration across religious and national lines. Now, let's get to hear from the FCT minister, as he also said that the subject of Christian genocide is the antics of the opposition.
People were sending me texts, oh please don't speak about Trump, please this and that and this, and I just laughed. I'm a Nigerian, a full-blooded Nigerian. I'm a Christian. My father is a pastor. My family are all Christians. I serve in this government. First of all, it's an indictment of my person as a Christian. It's an indictment of my family as Christians, that a government that I'm serving, anybody will allege that that government is supporting genocide, killing of Christians, and then I'm still in that government. This is politics taken too far.
Is this politics?
This is politics taken too far.
What do you mean?
Now, let me just come. The Inspector General of Police is a Christian. The Director General of State Security Service is a Christian. Today, the Chief of Defense is a Christian. The former Chief of Defense was a Christian. Now, tell me how any right-thinking person will say that we are in this government. The Secretary to Government is a Christian. We sit in a government that will support the killings of our own people. That's why I say politics taking too far.
Is it Trump that is playing this politics, or who is playing?
I am coming. You see, there could be some misinformation or destruction. It's unfortunate. All I tell people is that nobody will be happy for the death of anybody, whether a Christian or a Muslim. No right-thinking person, no leader will say, I'm happy that Muslims are dying, I'm happy Christians are dying, I'm happy non-believers are dying. Nobody. Not the president I know. Not this president I know. I'm not talking about even the government now. It is not possible. Not to come as an individual. Not this president I know, whose wife is a senior pastor, will shut his eyes and will not do anything that a particular religion is being eliminated? Certainly not.
Could complacency mean complicity? If things are happening,
Yeah.
and it might not be the fact that there is a genocide against Christians in Nigeria, but if Christians or Muslims or anyone at that is killed, because any life, whether any creed or any tribe or any...
All right. The minister's remarks follow the ongoing controversy surrounding U.S. President Donald Trump's recent threat of possible military action against Nigeria over alleged persecution of Christians. Now, Wike insisted that attention should be directed towards forging partnership that enhances Nigeria's security framework rather than politicizing delicate matters of religion and national security. Chidi,
Very important.
Do you agree with the FCT minister?
Why will I agree with somebody whose only job that he did on Channels TV was to further tarnish Nigeria's image? I'll tell you why. If you listen attentively, even without being attentive to that interview, you would realize that all Wike was supposed to do was to come tell us what the government is doing.
To salvage the situation, to change the narrative.
To change the narrative. Wike may have forgotten that this is 21st century where information are already in the open. He may have forgotten that Nigerians who are hot, that woman's only son who was taken away from her, butchered before her face, that man whose wife's stomach was ripped open. They still bear the pains of this, whether in the Muslim north or in the Christian south. They want to hear the palliatives that would come to them. They want to know if they can return to their homes because they are in the IDP camps. That Donald Trump you're talking about, who is in the US and is not here, wants to see if you can pretend to do something nice. And this is bad press. This is bad press. Honestly, APC is so good in the opposition than to be in governance. And I will tell you what, when I use the word APC, because I talk about APC as to, it's not a party thing, no, it's a fact that APC gave us hope, which is why we saw them as alternative.
But the president still says there's renewed hope.
Renewed shaggy. Because when you look at the kind of hopelessness that we feel currently, you know, you just laugh. Because we're talking about, if this was in the 80s, 60s, 70s, 20s, perhaps, it would be easier for somebody to understand. Look, the pogrom against the Igbos, the Southerners, you know, even when you talk about Igbos, we talk about non-speaking Hausas. So for them, it was, let's not go into complicities. But then most importantly, you can easily hide. But now the things are in the open. And I'll tell you, look at what he said. He said that it is an indictment on himself, you know, and his family and co. Because look, they are Christians. The question I want to ask anybody here is, are there no Christian thief criminals who are Christians? Are there no election riggers and snatchers who are Christians? Are there no people who do worse things, kidnappers who are Christians? In our courts, are there no Christians who do the wrong things? Does it mean Christians are sent? And so any Christian means, you talk about Christians, you talk about as if you're talking to the Pope, even the Pope, to have one way or the other, they still call him to order some instances. Do you understand? There's, it is lame, lazy, and an insult to our national intelligence and national intelligence, and our sensibilities to hear this. I mean, like I said, it's bad press. They need to handle this. Somebody need to give. If for a responsible system would address this Wike's interview and say, sorry, he meant this. Because I'll tell you why. It might sound very harsh, but the reality is the fact that if you say, oh, I'm this, for that reason, this will not happen. It is not sound logic. It can only be sound logic to say, I'm a Christian, and as the FCT minister, last time I said, look, no cattle in the FCT. You know, FCT, they are cattle. And Wike, when he assumed office, he said he would do something and ensure that there are no cattle movement in the FCT. And today, even in the villa, even in the 3-arm zone, I see cattle. And I told somebody, I said, actually, why is the FCT like that? I said, look, because FCT is simple. It means Federal Cattle Territory. And so things like this, you need to tell us, what are you doing to address situations like this? So that's why I said, and then secondly, he said they welcome U.S. security partnership.
The actress claimed that her alleged rehab episode earlier this year marked the breaking point in the relationship. Though official details remain sketchy, Regina claims that her elder brother and sister were taken into custody by individuals allegedly acting on Ned Nwoko's instruction. As of Monday morning, there was no verified reports from the police regarding the arrest, nor has Ned Nwoko made any public statement addressing the accusation. However, social media has been flooded with expressions of support for the actress, with hashtags such as hashtag Stand with Regina and hashtag Justice for Daniels Family trending on microblog X, formerly known as Twitter. As the nation awaits Ned Nwoko's response and for clarity on the alleged arrest, one thing is certain: this saga has peeled back another layer of the complex intersection between fame, gender, and power in Nigeria's entertainment elite. Whether Regina's voice becomes the catalyst for change or another echo lost in the noise will depend on what she and the stereotype or system does next. Well, at this point, that's the much we can take on this edition of Trends. So much reaction has come through with my guest. My sincere thanks to Barrister Samuel Meme and, of course, Chidi for those explosive reactions. I can't wait to see Nigerians' reactions to the comments you have made on the show. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah, before we sign out, I want to just briefly say that